You go.
Okay, we're on. My son Jeff is helping me do this little tutorial. Square within a square blocks have always been a challenge for me. The reason is you've got this on-point square in the center of the block, and then the four side triangles added. So what I've decided to do, and what works the best for me after trying every ruler out there, is that I cut my triangles a little bit bigger than needed and then use my Easy Square Junior ruler to square them down. There's a lot of rulers out there, like the Square and a Square ruler, that has you put rectangles on the sides, but then when you trim the block, it has bias edges, and I don't like the bias edges on the outside of my block. So what I've done here is added my 4 larger than normal triangles. Just cut each triangle about a 1/4 inch larger than you need, and I have added them around the center square. And I'm going to take my Easy Square Junior ruler and place it on here. I am figuring the block to be 3.5 inches uncut, cut but not finished. And I am counting over 1 inch to 1 3/4, and there's a little hash mark there. Hopefully you can see this little hash mark. I am putting that right at the tip of the square. That also puts the seam allowance on the outside edge of the ruler right up against both of these 2 points. You see that? We need that seam allowance in there. And I'm also going to look down here at the bottom and go 1 inch and another 3/4 of an inch. See that hash mark there? I am going to align it so that it is straight below the bottom point of that center square. So I am going to put the top notch here and the bottom notch here. They won't both touch the square, but I can tell that I've got a straight line. And I'm going to trim 2 sides. 1, 2. Just that easy. Be sure you have a new blade in your rotary cutter. Okay, lift the ruler, turn the block. See, these are my 2 sides that I just cut. They've both got a really nice seam allowance left there. I'm going to now take the ruler and, following the 3.5 inch line, and put the 3.5 inch here and the 3.5 inch along the bottom. And I can double check now that that seam allowance line, that hashed line there on the ruler, is right up touching that point there and right touching that point there. So when I trim this, I'm going to have the correct seam allowance all the way around. Go 1, 2, okay. And there's my unit. That's a perfect 3.5 inch square, which is what we need for this quilt. So you don't need the fancy rulers. You just need a ruler that has the seam allowance around the outside edge, a rotary cutter with a new blade in it, and you're ready to go. Let's make some square in a square block.